back to What She Said in Sports, everybody. This Nola girl checking in. All right, so we have a great show planned for you tonight, the latest buzz. And we're talking about sports. Of course, we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. There's been some chatter, right, about Myles Garrett. So I reported yesterday that I think it was Yahoo Sports had a story about Myles Garrett not talking to the team, etc. So blah, 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 blah. They think that's a problem, a source of tension. And we were like, it's the offseason. If it doesn't say in his contract that he needs to talk to them, then it's not a big deal. But then today, Bleacher Report suggests that there could be a trade, right? Now, could be interpreted different ways. It was a suggestion that it could be a trade, meaning the Browns could make this type of trade, or it could be that the Browns are trying to move off of Myles Garrett privately, and it's starting to kind of slowly leak out. So my question is, regardless of, shoulda, woulda, coulda, do y'all really think the Browns would, at this given time, move off of Myles Garrett? Because I think there's a team he could go to who has enough cap space to absorb his contract, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. So it's not impossible, but would they? Let me know your comment. Let me know what you think about if the Browns would surprise and shock everybody and move off of Myles Garrett because tension, whether or not he called in or not, I know he wasn't happy because I remember he posted after I think Schwartz didn't get the job, etc. I don't think he was happy about it, right? And Myles wasn't quiet about it. And I do look at the fact that the Browns, and I know it's them, keep posting about his speeding tickets when they don't talk about anybody else's speeding tickets. And it is not a coincidence that only Myles Garrett and Shedeur Sanders got robbed. The only Browns players to get robbed. The only Browns players we're to hear about their speeding tickets. Come on now. And we know Myles Garrett fully supported Shedeur for the preseason. And we saw what appeared to be some type of intimidation, coercion, and retaliation after that. So now that I've said all that, I'm going to come back to this question. Would the Browns move off of Myles Garrett knowing he's vocally supportive of Shedeur, vocally supportive of winning, vocally, supportive of Schwartz? Would they move off of him? Yeah, I think so. And I think what we're hearing is the behind the scenes friction that we don't know about. And I think that these stories are a way to kind of get it out there. That's what I think. So let me know what you think, but I absolutely believe that, they'll do it. If they only talked about Myles Garrett and Shedeur speeding tickets, Myles Garrett and Shedeur getting robbed, yeah. I mean, you got to think about the enormous influence that these NFL teams have in their communities, right? With law enforcement to keep things on the hush-hush with certain players, right? They had a player who with a domestic violence charge, which came and went, and we still talking about Myles Garrett speeding tickets. I mean, domestic violence trumps speeding tickets. Understand that, right? So, yeah, they would do it, right? Just like they also have Jerry Jeudy over there. So in the community post, I asked the question, what about Mike Evans? Because it was suggested, right? They were talking about it on X, and I was like, huh? So I looked at the top wide receivers in free agency, and Mike Evans is number 2. So, I was like, okay. I mean, he's good, right? And I'm like, why on earth would the Tampa Bay Bucks want to move? Why wouldn't they re-sign Mike Evans? Well, turns out his contract is it's kind of heavy based on what his market value is. Now, I don't know who comes up with these market values, but Tyreek Hill is number 1 and Mike Evans is number 2. So Tyreek Hill is supposed to be the best receiver on the market, with Mike Evans being second. And I think Mike Evans' contract is like maybe $20 million, but his market value is only like $13 million. So I don't think the Browns would do it, but that's not the question. The question is it a good fit? You have Shedeur Sanders, week 1 starter, QB1, Mike Evans, experienced veteran from the Tampa Bay Bucks. Let me know your thoughts. I kind of want to know what y'all think about that. All right. Also in the news, and we're gonna dive deep into this Browns conversation, but there's two things I wanted to talk about aside from that, because y'all sent it to me. One, because I'm giving y'all stuff to think about. One is Sherrone Moore. Several people sent me the story where Sherrone Moore's charges were dropped, the felony charges were dropped. And he pled no contest. And it says that he was set up and the information was misrepresented to the police and by the police. And you would think after this, there would be some type of consequences for the woman and her lawyer misrepresenting information that they knew that they were misrepresenting, right? Whether it's the girl lied to her lawyer and you could see as you got into the case that she was misrepresenting things and you went along with it, then the police were dragged into it and they end up misrepresenting information as well. Yeah, he was definitely set up. But here's the question. By who? And I know people are going to be by her. At the heart of this battle with Sherrone Moore is Michigan. And Michigan not wanting to pay Sherrone Moore his buyout. Now there's another coach that another university, Kansas State, doesn't want to pay the buyout for their basketball coach, who is maybe Black. I'm not 100% certain. And I watched his story on they trying to push him out, saying that it was conduct detrimental to the team. That's the same thing they're saying about Sherrone Moore, conduct detrimental to the team, inappropriate relationship. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but this is only happening to certain people of color, right? Regardless of the color, it's only happening to certain people of color. So the question was, did Michigan have a hand in setting up Sherrone Moore, knowing full well he was in that relationship the whole time, because that lady, his mistress, and Sherrone Moore had menu items named after them at the popular restaurant called the Brown Jug, which features menu items of the Michigan football team. So this is not new. And I asked the question, why would an assistant have menu items named after her? And she's connected to the head coach because she's his mistress. And it was discussed that because he was swiftly fired quickly, so fast, and they just fired her. Do y'all know they just fired her while this trial is going on, right before it wrapped up, that it came out the information was falsified? Do y'all know that they just fired her? They approved a raise to like $96,000 from like a $40,000. So HR at Michigan approved the raise of $40,000 to $90,000 for this woman. They got a menu items named after both of them individually at the Brown Jug. And you didn't know they was in a relationship. Yeah, you did. But you saw it as an opportunity to get rid of him and not pay his buyout. So his charges were dropped. He was set up. He had to take a plea deal for what? Going over to her house. Trespassing, that's what they want to call it. He had to take a plea deal. So what does that mean? It means that he's guilty of the relationship. Whether she left the door unlocked for him, he had a key or not, it was deemed trespassing. He took a plea deal for that rather than go to court they already in court. And rather than, I guess it further embarrasses his family. People are talking about his wife is still standing by him. She had a sad look on her face. But it was said that the wife and the girlfriend were following each other on social media. So there's more to this story than we know. But one thing about this story that we do know is he was set up. Should he have been having an affair? Absolutely not. Did Michigan know? That's the question that needs to be answered. Did Michigan exploit the situation or push up this situation so that he could be fired without his buyout? Was she brought in specifically and put in his space and a relationship? Oh, y'all so cute together. Did that kind of thing happen for the sole purposes of them firing him without paying his buyout because they wanted to get rid of him because they have who? Bryce Underwood. He was responsible for bringing in Bryce Underwood. We have Bryce Underwood now. We don't need you. And now Bryce Underwood is caught up over there at Michigan. There's a message to anybody who's thinking of going to Michigan. Do you know what that message is? I'm going to let you figure it out, especially if you're Black and you play football. So that was Sherrone Moore. There was one more story that came up before we head on back to the Browns, and that is Dak Prescott. Now, this is not stats conversation. This is Dak Prescott and his fiance. They have 2 kids together. We're supposed to get married in April, and apparently it said that he was pushing for a prenup and she don't want one. But the way the story came out is they called the wedding off. They was having an argument on a yacht. I don't know who caught all of this information, but when the story first broke, the story broke that Dak Prescott and his fiance were getting married soon, and they called off their wedding because he did not want to have a joint bachelorette party. That was the first story that came out, and it caught my attention, and I was like, oh, he just must not want to get married because y'all already have kids together. The wedding is in April. Y'all are now talking about bachelor parties, and you gonna call the whole wedding off because y'all don't want to have a joint bachelorette and bachelor party. It also signals that somebody don't trust somebody. I'm like, okay, so they shouldn't even be getting married anyway. Let's be honest, they shouldn't even be getting married anyway. I was gonna ask y'all, do y'all think it's just a matter of cold feet or somebody don't want to be married? Turns out the story is a little deeper than that. I don't know how anybody got the deets. I'm sharing it right here on the screen. Now we're talking about football players. A lot of money at stake. That guy have what? Over $260 million contract, right? But see, this is one of the hazards of being in their line of work and having children out of wedlock. This is a huge problem because you feel the pressure. See, having children out of wedlock, number one, you feel the pressure to have a relationship with the person that you had your child with. And it takes time to get to a place that might not happen and you might feel some type of way. But when you add money to the equation, and I mean serious money, now you have 2 kids, all of a sudden, it's about a prenup. So it says right here, shout out to Desiree. It said Dak Prescott and fiance reportedly called off the wedding over massive prenup. Stand up. Tell me what y'all think about this story, what you think it really, really, really is. Because the story get deeper and deeper as the days goes on. It said after securing a historic $240 million contract, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott and his fiance, Sarah Jane Ramos, were supposed to be celebrating their upcoming April wedding. So we this close. That's next month. It said the rumor is that Dak spent the last few months pushing hard for a rock-solid prenup to protect his new bag. And she flat out refused to sign it. All right, then what the hell should happen? You go your way, and I'm going to go mine, and we're going to put this child support on direct deposit or auto pay. That's it, right? Because we're just talking, you ate my candy or something like that. We are talking about why are we really in this relationship? And see, this is the danger of being in this line of work, having kids out of wedlock, having massive amounts, triple-digit millions, right? Pressure. The pressure to, you had these kids. Now you want to get married on the back end. You should have got married on the front end. And if you was married on the front end, you would have been married before this contract would have came out. But this is probably why you didn't get married. But you still in this relationship. And now you don't want to get married because she don't want to sign a prenup. Why are you shocked? Why are you shocked? Did you want to get married? So if you didn't want to get married, why are you shocked that she didn't want to sign a prenup? And I'm not saying she's in the right. I'm saying you need to see what's happening here. You need to understand the situation that you're in. And clearly this relationship is not about love. Because if it was, they wouldn't be fighting over a prenup. And one, they would have had a prenup conversation before this particular contract. He had a nice contract before this one, right? Didn't he have a decent contract, double-digit millions? So now with triple-digit millions and 2 kids are on the table, there's pressure. There's pressure to marry without a prenup or pressure to, hey, I just got this contract. I don't like you like that. I know we got 2 kids. Yeah, it looked good. I like you. I want to be around you, but I don't want you taking all my money. And she don't want to sign it. The wedding is next month. So they arguing in public on a yacht. Don't get married. You haven't been married with 2 kids. If you made it this far with 2 kids, what you get married for? Let's just, I'm being honest as hell. What are you getting married for? Especially if you break up a month before your wedding because she don't want to sign a prenup. Why the conversation just coming up? And why not get married before you have the kids? See, they don't understand. When you add kids to the equation, it's pressure. It's pressure because you really gonna live somewhere else separate from your kids. You really gonna leave your kids. You really gonna leave your family. We a family? No, you and the kids' family. But I bet y'all live together, and that makes it complicated. So now you have a ball of string, like the rubber band of knots, and now you want to untie it because it's triple-digit millions on the table. Don't get married. Call a wedding off. It's cheaper to call the damn wedding off than it is to what? To go without a prenup, get married with 2 kids, and get divorced in 9 months and pop up with a third. Don't get married because you're not sure. If you were sure about this person, you wouldn't be mad whether they signed a prenup or not, because you would understand why they don't want to sign it, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But it's triple-digit millions. It's that the rumor is that Dak spent the last few months pushing for a hard, rock-solid prenup because he don't trust the situation to protect his new bag, and she flat out refused to sign it. I mean, it's that underlying tension finally boiled over into a massive screaming match right on the yacht, leading to the entire wedding being permanently shelved. And that's what it should be. That's what it should be. And since we untying and undoing things, let's get these kids, put these kids, take care of them, put them on child support, or put the money in a trust for them and keep it pushing. And if y'all want to date, she can leave a toothbrush at your house. Separate. See, the pressure is we got kids, we might as well live together. You travel a lot, we might as well stay here. Then that leads to let's get married. Then that leads to let's get married. I want a prenup. That leads to where we are right now. You can't let people coach you into a corner, right? On either side. Whether it was him, no, I want you to be here. I wanted you to have these kids. I like you. I want you to be around. I don't want nobody else with you, but I want you to sign a prenup. It don't matter. You can't let nobody coach you into a corner. It really don't matter. But this ain't about love. Once again, it's just not about love. So the right thing was done. Permanently shelved the wedding. Saved everybody, including them kids, some heartache. She get a spot. He get a spot. Put a trust for the kids or child support for the kids and keep it pushing. And if y'all want to be friends, cool. If you want to revisit it and date, cool. If you want to think about getting married later, cool. But shelve the wedding because it ain't love. It's not at the heart of this situation. It's the 2 kids. It's the pressure. Instead, the underlying tension finally boiled over into a massive screaming match on a yacht, leading to an entire wedding being permanently shelved. If she really walked away just because he wanted to protect his contract, did Dak actually dodge a massive bullet here? If that's the reason, yeah. I mean, that's a duh moment, right? I don't know how some people just can't see that sometimes these kids are brought into these situations to put an ankle monitor on your leg. And the more kids you have, the more ankle monitors you have, which makes it extremely difficult for you to walk away because of the pressure, right? Marriage is just not a joke. And then to just hop into it lightly is a huge mistake, period, regardless of how much money you have. But when you have $240 million, when you ask for a prenup, the way the answer is given or the response tells you that you got these ankle monitors on you and you were supposed to just abide by the pressure. Shout out to Dak if he the one that canceled it. Now, I don't know her. I don't know their situation. But if it's exactly what it's saying right here, but we see this so many times. We see this so many times, just like Sherrone Moore, right? It's like when you see one of these situations, you just shake your head and keep it pushing because y'all didn't think this through. Just like Sherrone Moore, right? I know he feels some type of way because he was set up, and yes, he was set up. But how many examples are there of Black athletes or Black men being set up by white women? Let's be honest, especially in the football world. I'm not saying it don't happen in basketball, but Lord have mercy. When it comes to football, it just you get one, you get one, and it just all blow up. Bam, bam, bam. It's just all the same over and over and over. And I don't know if it's ego that make these guys go on with these relationships, or if it's just naivete or arrogance. I don't know. But this happens so much. And Lawyer Babe from Baton Rouge, she was, I think, a DA or something like that. She was a lawyer in Baton Rouge. She said it. She said it shows that when white women and black men are in a situation before the district attorney, if the women look like the district attorney, which is typically white, the black man gets harmed. My question was, how long was this setup in place? Because it's clearly all that money that she got for that raise that Michigan approved. How do people know that that wasn't her bonus money for what? For ensnaring him into a situation. Is it rare? No, it's not. And I said it. Why does this only happen in football? Why does this majority happen in football? What is it about football players and or football coaches? Because Sherrone Moore's a coach. What is it about whether they in high school, committed to college, going to the draft? What the hell is it that they land in this situation with the same woman? When you think about all of the different women out here, right? When you think about white women, Hispanic women, you think about South Asian women, just Asian women. It's so many different women out here. Why is it always white women? That is a valid question. Why is it always white women? And why is it always football? We don't see this with baseball. We don't see this happening to non-black athletes. Do we not? It's always the same dynamic. White women and black men. Not Asian men, not South Asian men, not Hispanic men. It's black men that play football and or coach football in the football orbit. Make some sense of that if you can. Make some sense of that. I have a snippet of Sherrone Moore in court. I want to see if I can play it. I put the link in the chat for y'all to watch the whole thing if you just like, watching that kind of thing. So I don't know. To me, here it is here. To me, I just feel like he's right. 14A District Court of the County of Washington, State of Michigan is now back in session. This is the prosecutor that's going to start talking. And she goes off into a tangent about why she was late and thanked everybody for their patience. The judge is also black.
The court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Sherrone Moore.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Katie Rizwersky for the people. Good afternoon.
It buffered, but don't worry about it. It'll be right back. I'm looking at y'all's comments at the same time.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. All right. So date and time set for Frank's hearing, things have changed. And even before you go on, I just want to express the court's appreciation for their hard work of counsel going through. I know it may have been a delay for the people that were waiting to see something, but your efforts were greatly appreciated.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the court. First, allow me to apologize to the court and counsel. I was needed unexpectedly elsewhere in another county on a special prosecutor case this morning that went perhaps a little bit longer than expected, and then as life unfolds, I was rear-ended in a gas station parking lot. Everybody is fine, but I really appreciate everyone's patience, and it was not intentional. Thank you. Judge, I appreciate the opportunity to address the court about what has transpired and where we have arrived. This case, as is true with many cases, Your Honor, is alive and sort of moving and breathing. Investigation has been ongoing. An exchange of information has also been ongoing.
I'm going to tell you what she's doing. She's prefacing before you hear the ruling. She's prefacing to say that the case is still ongoing. We're just getting this information. In other words, we didn't know, she lying. She's saying, information is just still coming out. In other words, so you can't hold her responsible for the misrepresentation of information that was already presented because it's moving, it's ongoing, as is most cases, Your Honor. I'm sure you know. So she's kind of setting it up, right? She's setting it up to basically absolve herself of submitting falsified information by kind of saying it. Well, we kind of really we know at this time that this information was misrepresented. That's what she's doing. Keep listening.
As a result of all of that, where we have arrived based on what we now know is that we feel the most appropriate charges to address the defendant's behavior on December 10th of 2025 are two additional counts 4 and 5. We would be seeking to add a count of what we call malicious use of a telecommunications device in the context of a domestic relationship, and then an additional count of trespass.
Okay, so here's what she's saying. We want to add 2 more counts. That's what she's saying. So if he had 3 charges already, she want to add 2 more. So she's giving you the impression that this is ongoing information, and we want to add some more to it. So just listen. And that is because she is anticipating that they're going to drop his charges. So what she is ineffectively doing is sticking her foot in the door. Before you drop these charges, let me add 2 more. Keep listening. Keep listening. Now, this is the lawyer. She's been accused of setting him up too.
Those are, as Your Honor is aware, misdemeanor matters. Your Honor, we have arrived at that as indicated based on a thorough review of the additional evolved evidence and investigation, as well as after consultation with, pursuant to our obligation of the Crime Victim Rights Act, consultation with the victim, largely through her representatives in this matter. Your Honor, one comment I would like to make specifically about the additional count of malicious use of a telecommunications device in the context of a domestic relationship. As this court is aware, but I would like to be clear for the record because of, I know, docket and calendaring purposes. Your Honor, we did not at the time of issuing initial charges in this matter, nor do we believe now, after additional evidence has been presented to us, do not believe that there is sufficient evidence to prove a count of domestic violence.
So, okay. So, like I said, she anticipated what was getting ready, that they was going to drop these charges, because as she's saying, let me add these 2 more charges, because now we don't think it was domestic violence. They also don't think it was stalking. So since she anticipated they was going to kick out the domestic violence, which was felony, they was going to kick out the stalking, which was a felony, and another charge, she was like, well, let me get in malicious use of a communications device. So it's not stalking, it's a malicious use of communication devices. So basically she came to court today to add 2 more charges, knowing that the 3 would be gone away, rather than let him walk with all charges dropped. She had to get him on something. So check this out. Let's keep going. This is actually really good.
In this matter, not historically, and not what happened on December 10th. So we are obligated, as this court is well aware, legally and ethically and morally, to not charge that which we do not think we can prove. What we do believe the evidence supports is criminal misbehavior in the context of an intimate partner relationship, and that is why that tag-on is on the malicious use charge.
Criminal misbehavior and an intimate work relationship or whatever, and misuse of a communications device. So notice she used, that's why we're doing the tag on. Now, mind you, she should be embarrassed that they done charged this man with felony domestic violence, felony stalking, and lied to the police and made it seem like these 2 only didn't know each other, but they worked together. So you ensnared law enforcement and made them do 911 and arrest him as if he was a perfect stranger. So they treated him like she was in imminent danger. But instead, you want to come in here and ingratiate the court, and you want to come in here and be like, I'm sorry, Your Honor, thank you everybody for your patience. Let me add on these 2 charges because we now know that it was not domestic violence. Bitch, get out of here. They get him with something. If he was white, first of all, he wouldn't even be in court. They would have squashed this, and the police would have came up and said, and maybe took one of them somewhere, or maybe none of them nowhere, just made him leave or whatever. It proves that with this situation, when it started to unravel, that they had to come up with 2 additional charges to stick him with something so he don't walk away scot-free. Because if he walk away scot-free, he could go right back to Michigan and say, now, what were you saying I did? I could sue you And he still can if they had a hand to set him up. But if he walked away scot-free and it's a setup, then guess what? He would be able to go back to Michigan and look for the setup there. But now you done took a plea, which is crazy because I would have did it. I'd be like, I'm going to sue Michigan because everybody knew about this relationship. Matter of fact, they gave her a raise, and her raise was to help me get fired. He should look into that, but they never do. They take whatever they give them and keep it pushing, and the women never get in trouble. It's funny how when Black athletes, I noticed in college, right? If Black athlete gets in trouble, right, we hear about his domestic violence charges, or he get kicked off the team, or hell, end up in jail just on an accusation of rape. But you know what happens to white players, like the 2 white players at BYU? They just changed schools. So that lets you know that these tag-on charges are intended to make sure he's guilty of something so he can't go back to Michigan and say, not give me my buyout because you knew. See, you wrong now. And when you take a plea, you admitting to what? You admitting guilt, even though he pled no contest. He should have pled not guilty because he wasn't in court because he had an affair. That's between him and his wife. He's in court because they set him up to look like a lunatic and they defamed him by setting him up with this information. Is he stupid? Yes. Which is why he took a plea. Yes. But I hate to see this happen to Black men, but you keep putting yourself in these situations. Shout out to the Black men that see it coming and get the hell on.
Your Honor, it is my understanding that pursuant to adding those counts, that there will be a plea as a result of that, but I leave that to counsel.
No. Did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you so much. I'd like the record to be clear.
That's his wife right there.
The negotiated disposition involves a dismissal of the 3 charges that had been charged. That was not mentioned in the recitation by the prosecutor's office.
That is absolutely correct. The end result of where we land by adding on the counts is that my best understanding is that the defendant will enter a plea to those additional counts, and in exchange for that, we will absolutely dismiss the originally charged 3 counts. Thank you.
And that would be an entering of a no contest plea to count 4 and count 5 with the dismissal of count 1, 2, and 3.
So we got counts 1, 2, and 3, which are felonies being dismissed. So all his charges are technically dropped until she add on some other charges. So we dropping the original charges, but I can't let you get away for free. So and his lawyers feels good because she got the charges dismissed. So she did her job. But getting him to take a plea for these other 2 things, either there's some extremely damning evidence, which it would have came out already, or he's just not a very smart person. Because I'll be damned. Malicious use of a telephone, if I can't get caught for stalking, I'm not agreeing to that. What the hell do you mean by that? And those are just nuisance charges that they just tagging on to him. And I'm like, at some point, do you not realize you being steamrolled, right? But again, they pick certain people because they don't think they're smart. They think we all dumb. But there are certain people that they get to go along with the fact that they think we're dumb, and they use them in that manner.
All right. Very good.
Thank you.
The court
So
does
the
have
charges
before
are dropped.
a plea agreement form that indicates that the defendant will be pleading no contest to the charge of malicious use of a telecommunications device with domestic relationship tag. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 6 months incarceration. He will also be pleading no contest to the charge of trespass, which is a 30-day misdemeanor. Upon his successful no contest plea to those charges, counts 1, 2, and 3 will be dismissed.
So if he didn't go over to her house, he would be staring at a trespass charge. So that wouldn't even exist. See what I'm saying? But the fact that they set this man up and lied, and they got the audacity to want to tack on a goddamn trespass charge when it says in the last video that I did, she left the door unlocked for him. Y'all know damn well, if you was fearful for your life, your door would not be unlocked and he would just walk in. How many times you think she left that door unlocked for him? That's why he got a goddamn trespassing charge. This is the equivalent of I gotta find something to stick him with. But the audacity to tack on something else after you lied. Y'all have smeared this man's reputation, even though he's a goddamn idiot. Y'all have smeared. Let's see where he get a job. See, Harbaugh got caught supposedly cheating, right? and failed up to the NFL. Let's see where his ass end up at. If not divorce court first, let's see where he ends up next. And his wife and this woman following each other on Instagram, he should be side-eyeing that.
That is the court's full understanding of the agreement. There is, however, one other thing that should be mentioned, and that is with reference to sentencing, the court is going to be given full authority if the court deems it necessary after a review to sentence under a deferred program. That is.
So now he gonna get deferred adjudication. Lord have mercy. All right. So I'm saying this. We saw this man on all sorts of kind of viral videos looking like he should have been in a straight jacket. They saying he going to her house and he gonna off her, but he really was trying to off himself with a butter knife. And he had this affair and he was gonna off her and she was a victim. And it was just FUBAR. It was FUBAR. Now, 3 of the 3 felony charges kicked out. On the same day, the 3 felony charges kicked out. A lawyer who looks like the person that set him up adds on some nuisance charges for trespassing, knowing she left the goddamn door unlocked, so that ain't trespassing. He didn't even break into her apartment. He didn't break a window and unlock the door. He didn't kick it in. She had the door unlocked. What kind of lawyer does he have that can get you off of 3 felony charges, but can't get you off of a trespassing charge when it says the door was unlocked and y'all was in a romantic relationship? They have said in front of his wife countless times that this was a domestic relationship, which is embarrassing him and her, or him, over and over and over and over. You mean to tell me your lawyer could get you off 3 felony charges, but not trespassing when the door was unlocked? That ain't trespassing. That's she inviting him in because y'all said we were in a domestic, intimate relationship. And if that's the case, then you got to kick that out. Why would you agree to a plea with that? And what the hell is misdemeanor misuse of a communication device or whatever? So this FUBAR comes down to trespassing and something about malicious use of communications and deferred adjudication, which is going to be wiped off his record. And he's still missing $14 million. And let's see what happened to her. She just lost her job. So nothing. She going to get another one. And remember, they gave her a raise and they let her work there long enough to collect said raise. Yeah. You see, I'm not defending him at all. I'm defending the situation. Like what happens to these Black guys who are drawn into these situations and they are innocent. I'm talking about how it is a white woman is used against a Black man, and it's always football. This is a tactic. Just like when we talk about the tactics used against Shador, the tactics used against Black quarterbacks. Now we're talking about a tactic used against Black men in the sport of football, regardless of what their position is. This is a tactic, and you need to start looking at it as if it's a tactic, just like excessive sacks, just like your O-line setting you up, stepping on your ankle, or your tight end crushing your nail off, or your wide receiver stopping to run on his route. White woman, it's a tactic, and you got to stop falling for a tactic that's been used since slavery or post-slavery, because you ain't had no choice during slavery. It's a tactic, and you need to start looking at it as a tactic. And then we talking about Dak in his situation, bruh. It don't matter what color their hair is. You're talking about millions. Having children out of wedlock. That is pressure. That is a tactic. If you love the woman, you would have married her first. Stop playing yourselves. Just stop playing yourselves. This shit is ridiculous, bro. We don't even want to see this because we think you should know better. But I just pointed out to you how it goes. His lawyer got him off 3 felony charges, but couldn't get him off of trespassing when the door was unlocked, and it stated in the record the door was unlocked, and they stated multiple times in front of his wife that this was a domestic relationship. but there's no questions about she left the door unlocked. So I didn't trespass. So you just fell for whatever they gave you. That's what you did. That's how you got in this situation in the first place. They likely put it in your face and you just went along with it because you want to be liked by them. It wouldn't surprise me if there were conversations being held over there at Michigan. Oh my God, y'all so cute. And he felt like they was going to keep his confidence. Now, when he told her, you ruined my life, that's when it clicked in his brain that he was being set up. All the fact that she got the raise, the fact that she came down to the field and they took pictures together, the fact that they had dishes named at them at the local restaurant in the town, all of that flashed before his eyes. And that's the moment he realized she was a tactic used so they didn't have to pay him his buyout. That's exactly what he meant. Hopefully he learned. The fact that they used text messages from some other situation that was not a part of court and they put it out there in the public, it came out right after his lawyer pointed out that they misrepresented the stalking and everything else, and that it was obvious the charges was going to be dropped. They put out there a text thread of him and another woman showing he was trying to use something that wasn't admissible in court in the public eye to prove that he was a maniac when it came to sleeping with women, this, that, and the other. I'm like, he a freak. I'll give him that. He's a freak. But again, that's not on trial here, right? What they said he was on trial for was just dismissed. And then they decided to come up with 2 nuisance charges to get something. And his lawyer didn't push back on it. They made him sign a plea that's going to be adjudicated and wiped off his record like none of this ever happened. And he going to be missing $14 million because of it. Let's see how long it take him to realize that his lawyer got him off for 3 felony charges, but couldn't get him off for trespassing. When it says in the documents, the door was unlocked in a domestic relationship. Let's see. That's just crazy, bro. That's just absolutely crazy. And he probably took the plea because they were putting those text messages on social media and people were saying, God, basically it was a mess. It was some text messages to a woman that he wanted to meet at a hotel. He sent her the address. She texted him back, or he didn't text her back fast enough. He was getting agitated, saying, why are you playing these games and all this kind of stuff. And then he was telling her what he wanted to do to her, all explicit. Like, they put all of that out there. That was to make him take this plea, and he did. You know why people take a plea? To get it over with. We're going to get you deferred adjudication. But guess what it also did? You can't get that $14 million. And now you can't even go to Michigan and say they did you wrong because you took a plea. You should have took a plea. I don't think it should have been this mess, and you should have went right on up there and you should have proved that they set you up. But nope. They putting your dirty text messages out there and your wife crying and you're looking at your kids, and now you got to take the plea. That's what happens when you screw yourself every single time. So that's it. That situation, he did. It's good the wedding is called off. I don't know who called it off. There's no love there. There's no love there. They still might get married later, but you got to be smarter than that, right? You got to see that children are used as tactics. You got to see that white women are used as tactics for black men. You got to look for the tactic. You got to know your worth. You got to know that there are people that's going to try to take advantage of you. And you got to think sometimes you could be sleeping with the enemy, whether it's her or him. You could be sleeping with the enemy, period. So shout out to whoever for the wedding being called off. And Sherrone Moore, lesson learned. I hope the next black man in Michigan that have something to do with football, whether it's the Detroit Lions or the University of Michigan or Michigan State or Michigan Community College or whatever the hell it is, learn from this. White women are used as a tactic against men in football on all levels, all of it, especially when there's the money and power and influence involved. They don't care if you're a scrub. They don't want them. All right, so let's get on back to the Browns. All right, so I asked the question, do y'all believe that the Browns will move on from Myles Garrett? I gave you my answer. The answer is yeah. Yes, I would. based on the things that we've seen with only Myles Garrett and Shedeur getting speeding tickets, and we only know about that. Only Myles Garrett and Shedeur being robbed. We're hearing about Myles Garrett's speeding ticket again. I knew he wasn't happy because he had posted after Schwartz was gone. So, yeah, I think the Browns could send him to a place like Seattle because they have $50-some-odd million in salary cap. It said the New England contributor Gary Davenport proposed a blockbuster deal where the Browns received the Patriots 26 and 27 first-round picks plus a 2026 third-round pick. Now, you know the Browns want a 2027 first-round pick, number 1 overall. So there's that. Then it says Philadelphia Eagles analyst Brad Gagnon suggested a gargantuan swap for Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jalen Carter and additional draft capital. Just additional draft capital. And then this is the one. Seattle Seahawks. Davenport also linked Garrett to Seattle, suggesting they have a $58.1 million in cap space required to absorb his contract. Now, that was posted by the same Yahoo Sports who posted the story saying that the team had not heard from Myles Garrett since Monken was hired and Schwartz was gone from the team and not made the head coach or not coming back. So you put all that together, yeah, absolutely. There's a possibility because Seattle can absorb his contract. That's all you need. If you got a team that can absorb his contract, I don't think they value him like we think they do. I think I saw the Browns use Myles Garrett to try to suppress Shedeur's narrative. And once Myles Garrett started gravitating towards Shedeur and supporting him publicly as the leader of the team, I watched them try to shut down Myles Garrett, retaliate against Myles Garrett. So knowing that Shedeur is coming back, I could see them splitting them up. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's like Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson's never came up. And technically he's number 1 overall or number 2. Why they didn't talk about Jordan Tyson coming to Cleveland? Because he played at Colorado. They're not trying to pair up Shedeur with anybody that can make him better. Hence, Jerry Jeudy still being over there. Hence, them getting a wide receiver and putting him on reserves, first rights for him, and he didn't even play ball last year. Hence, them bringing in Isaiah Bond, who was Arch Manion's receiver, with Shedeur's class, in the same class with Shedeur, and he only has a 2-year contract because seemingly they devalued him, but it could work out in his favor depending on what he does. If he chooses not to be Superman every now and then, he could parlay it next year, at the end of next year, into a lucrative 4-year, 3-year contract. Because as a rookie, undrafted, his contract is only 2 years. And they brought him in with Shedeur. So that tells you that they never had real intentions for Shedeur. You don't see them pairing people up with Shedeur that make the team better. You see them taking those people away. Quashawn Junkins was injured, and watch what happened to him. Since he's, letting it be known that what Shedeur endured, the things that Shedeur endured, that's going to come at a price. It's not right. It's unethical and it's illegal. It's called retaliation. Just like they heard Shedeur talk about $40 million, the next thing you know, they want to get Malik Willis for $40 million. The next day. So, yes, I can see it. And since Seattle is one of the teams that has, and he might want to go. I think he's sick and tired, basically. And he is vocal about Shedeur, and he's not going to shy away from it, even though we feel like when he went on Jimmy Kimmel, it was this. But then after that, it was like they was reining him in, hence the speeding ticket conversation. Every single time Myles Garrett speaks out about Shedeur, we hear about his speeding tickets. Nobody else. And maybe he realized that only he and Shedeur got robbed. So Seattle has the cap space, and there could be another team with it as well. So yes, I could see it. Check in the comments to see if y'all can see it. To avoid misinformation on social media, please like, hit, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Fly Show. Thank you so much. Get your popcorn and green tea ready. I know that's right. I miss my green tea too. What's up? Remind from Tina. I put the link in the comments if y'all want to go watch the long form video of Sherrone Moore in court. But I showed you the best part, in my personal opinion, and broke it down for you. If you're just not joining us, hit rewind and start over. Hey, Miss Pamela, how you doing? Hey, everybody, who's that? Priscilla. Hey, Priscilla, how you doing? It said this is the Flyers place to be. Shout out to the Flyers chat room. Thank you so much for my. Hey, Nikki, how you doing? Hey, Regina, welcome back. Welcome back. Nice to see you, fam. It said the Browns need to stop clocking people's teeth. Nikki said the Browns need to stop clocking people's teeth. Leave them alone. Leave Myles and Shador alone. Right? But it seems to me that the Browns spend a lot of time working to derail and suppress Shador. Whether it's get Cornell Tate, so well, he went to Ohio so he could suppress Shador. It's like every decision they make. Well, if we get Mike Evans, is he gonna be with Shador or is he gonna stand against Shador? You know what I mean? It's like every decision, having Jerry Jeudy to be share a locker with Flacco, was to send Jerry Jeudy to a Flacco and not Shador because they knew Jerry Jeudy had been up to Colorado. It's like every move they make is to derail and suppress Shador and take away people who would support him. Wyatt Teller. Flacco came around, he gone. Tony Brown, he gone. Now, on this list of wide receivers and free agency, and it's a lot. It's a lot of wide receivers and free agency, like 72. It's only 32 teams. 72. And I saw somebody from the Browns on there. Y'all remember Andre Carter, the guy that gave Shador jersey number 2? He on the list. And guess what? They could re-sign him. His contract is only $1 million. Yep, Andre Carter. DeAndre Hopkins is on there. Now, remember, now this is interesting. This is very interesting. I don't know if they're going to do this, but then again, they could to be posturing. DeAndre Hopkins was Deshaun Watson's Travis Hunter in the Houston Texans. When DeAndre Hopkins was surprisingly booted from the team and sent to Arizona, that's when hell broke loose. And that's when Deshaun asked for a trade. And that's when women got found. These women never came forward. They got found. And I do believe that it could be part of the reason Deshaun has $230 million sitting in his bank account and his contract was restructured and he'll go get 45 in bonuses and 1 million salary. And I think because he got that, they are still retaliating against him by not letting him play. And I said they'll let Deshaun play now if they, find a way to say, well, when his contract is over, we don't want to bring you back, only to humiliate him, is to suppress Shador. So while the Browns seemingly are not planning to spend $40 million on a quarterback in the draft, because that's what they want to do next year with Arch Manning, I don't know why they acted like we don't know. It don't matter what you think about me. It's an indictment of you if you think I don't have the intelligence and eyes to see that you're stacking a deck to bring in Arch Manning. It's on you if you think I don't have enough discernment to see you suppressing Shador and holding Deshaun hostage. That's on you for thinking that we're dumb. That's on you. And because you devalue these Black players, that's on you. And if you don't think we notice that only Myles Garrett and Shador were robbed and only Myles Garrett and Shador got speeding tickets after Myles Garrett gravitated towards Shador, but clearly you didn't want people to do that. Hence, Jerry Jeudy shared a locker with Flacco, Tony Brown, Wyatt Teller. We know you're retaliating. We know you're intimidating. We know you're coercing. One day we might find out that you're bribing and extorting, but we haven't got there yet. We haven't got there yet. We ain't made our way to the RICO. Close, but not there yet. So while they probably won't bring in a $30 million quarterback, a $50 million quarterback till next year with Arch Manning, I don't think they're bringing in a $30 million receiver unless it can benefit them to suppress Shador, because every decision they make is to do that. Andre Carter was on injury reserve the entire time with the number 2. The entire time. Now he's available for $1 million. Let's see if the Browns sign him. They have already gotten a player on reserves who didn't even play pro ball last year as a wide receiver. So that tells me that they do it just like they did at free agency. Not much. They should be overhauling that starting O-line and the twos. They're not doing that. Titus Howard seems to be their biggest fish. With a $63 million contract for 3 years, he probably gonna only see 2 years of. And they sent a 5th round pick, which means how do you give him $63 million, but you only value him at a 5th round pick? It is said that Dillon will likely be traded for a late round pick. So how does Titus Howard get $63 million and it's a 5th round pick involved? Flacco went out the door with a 6th round pick, and he ended up starting. So let's see if they just let Andre Carter walk. Now, Shedeur, when he was in the photo with Jerry Jeudy, Shedeur had his 2 up. Now, I've asked the question, do y'all think he should go back to the 2? I've read some of your comments. Some of y'all say yes, some of y'all say no. Some of y'all say when he leaves Cleveland, because we don't believe that this is his long-term spot. When he becomes a franchise QB, that he should get it back. I don't know. He might be waiting. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. So Nikki is right. Stop plotting on people, because shout out to Huntley. Baltimore Ravens players, including LeJohntay, are showing him major love for signing a 2-year deal with Baltimore as backup. Shout out to Huntley. And not in Cleveland as the 4th option. That was so highly disrespectful. I'm like, it's crazy how the Baltimore Ravens, they love him over there, right? But Tony Grossi is suggesting that Huntley come over here as the 4th option. Do you see that? Do you see the disparity in the treatment between the franchises? Isn't that insane? That's insane. So, yeah, they need to stop clocking T. Leave them alone. It said leave Myles and Shedeur alone. I totally agree. It said, I believe they will move off of Myles Garrett because he is competitive and therefore he's not on board with the sabotage and tanking. I like that. I totally agree with that. I'm pretty sure this year he realized they're not trying to win. And they're not trying to win next year. And he know that they probably were thinking Schwartz was going to be the guy, but he probably heard what Harbaugh said. The Browns were there the whole time, so they played over Schwartz, which means he watched them play over Shedeur. He watched them play over Huntley, right? He watched them prop up Jerry Jeudy, who with no accountability, no consequences, which means you're not trying to win. And guess what? You still want to keep Joel Bitonio, even though he was dirt diving on camera. He should be gone along with Jack Conklin, but no. Your biggest fish might be Titus Howard. And if you get Cornell Tate, you're going to want him to be like Isaiah Bond. You know, you ain't got to be Superman all the time. Not saying that's what Isaiah Bond did, but I'm pretty sure that's the expectation. We didn't bring you in for Shedeur. We brought you in ahead of time for Arch Manning. He might actually know that. So I would be shocked. They've never had a wide receiver since in 10 years. Drafted in the 1st round. But can I see them trading Dillon for a late round pick and getting Ty Simpson for a late round pick? Yep. I can. Look at who they got on reserve already, and that tells you. They got tight ends on reserve already. They have wide receiver on reserve already. Andre Carter's $1 million. If they don't sign him, that says he was just there to hold the number 2 because he was on injury reserve the entire time. So I don't think they get no big names like Mike Evans. But is he a good fit? Sure. Somebody was telling me earlier, they were talking about how they think the Browns QB room is a mess. I'm like, no, it's not. The Browns ownership is a mess. The QB room is not a mess. Deshaun and Shedeur were both sabotaged, both by Stefanski, who failed up to Atlanta, who we get ready to watch do it to Michael Penix Jr. And since everybody knows what's going to happen with Dillon, they know where Dillon is going. So when his name get called and we hear where he's going, they always knew. See who's a quarterback 1 and 2 over there. Yeah, toxic and messy. That's what it's given. That's exactly what it's given. It said, is it me or all these contract restructuring of black players only? Somebody did say, we were talking about that. I noticed that it was Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. Now, is it a coincidence that those two were vocal about Shedeur and both of them had their contracts restructured? I mean, yeah, they still get the money, but I asked the question yesterday, why them? See, this is what I mean, right? And this is what the Browns need to understand, right? Even if this had nothing to do with sabotage, your reputation, you trashed your reputation by leaving Stefanski there to sabotage Shedeur. Is planted in everybody's mind, and they're going to be looking for it again, and now they're coming for you because Stefanski's gone. And Atlanta going to be looking for it over there because he trashed his own reputation. So while it seemed like they were winning, no, all eyes on the Browns and all eyes on Atlanta. And wait till the fans get a load of that is happening to black quarterbacks everywhere. That's going to be a whole nother problem. That's going to be a whole nother problem. Wait till they start realizing that Jalen Hurts is caught up in that, and he's very unproblematic, so you can't blame Shedeur. Shedeur's not problematic. So why they didn't restructure anybody else's contract? Actually, it was Deshaun and not Myles. It was Deshaun and Denzel Ward. I think Myles Garrett. I don't know. I think they're gonna try to move off of him because you got to think about something. They want to get Arch Manning next year, right? All right. How do we expect that to go? They said they were willing to rebuild for 3 years. You think Myles Garrett, after being on the number 2 defense and being defensive player of the year, want to start all over again after they've started over how many times since he's been there in 2020? And the man that the GM that drafted him, Sashi Brown, was fired because he wanted to get Lamar. So let me get this straight. Sashi Brown brought in Myles Garrett. Then he wanted to bring in Lamar first and then Myles Garrett. So imagine Myles Garrett and Lamar Jackson on the same team. That's what they disrupted. I don't know. Now everybody talking about Joe Burrow is it's gonna be crazy for him because Max. Look at who all the defensive edge rushers you got: Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and it's somebody else. Somebody played for Pittsburgh, I think. So he played for Cincinnati. It's only 4 teams. So all the 3 teams in Joe Burrow's division have stacked, got some of the best edge rushers. And I think it was Jamar Chase was heard on audio talking about how crazy that is, right? So because they was already talking about how he had been injured before. I'm like, is he being targeted? Then in that case, Myles Garrett ain't going nowhere. Then again, Myles Garrett might. I don't know. But it is kind of crazy that they stacked the deck against Joe Burrow. I'm like, well, I mean, he did kind of speak out for Shedeur. Y'all think I'm kidding. Every time somebody speaks out for Shedeur, they get retaliated against. That's the behavior. If you just look at it, that's the pattern. That's just the pattern. I mean, patterns don't lie, right? Everything we're talking about is documented. We're not talking about something that people were thinking. We're talking about, can you believe they let Wyatt Teller go and he was one of the best ones? Can you believe they want to bring back and hold on to Joe Batonio and he was dirt diving? Can you believe they let Tony Brown go and he showed compassion for Shedeur? Can you believe they let Flacco go? After they had Jerry Judy share a locker with him. Can you believe they restructured Denzel Ward contract after they was talking about they was going to let him go? Putting that out there in the atmosphere so he'll take whatever they give him. Aren't they supposed to be, are they getting ready to restructure Lamar's contract or are they getting ready to negotiate a new one? He's in the negotiation phase as well. And what happened? The new guy came in talking that smack, saying that Lamar, not to Lamar, but people felt like it was addressed to Lamar, that you're going to want to come in if you want to win. You're going to want to come in the non-mandatory period. So it seems like the money is tied to your behavior, not your performance, to who you align yourself with, to who you speak out for. The money is tied to that. So I'm pretty sure they always knew they were going to restructure Deshaun Watson's contract in the last year. But do they ever talk about who paid Deshaun Watson's salary last year? Who paid Deshaun Watson's $46 million salary last year in insurance companies. How many insurance companies paid salaries for quarterbacks this year? And look at the injuries that Black quarterbacks faced that made them unavailable for the season, which triggered insurance payments. There's no incentive for these guys to get better, is there? Is there any incentive for Deshaun to come out here and ball out? Hell no. Because they don't want Shador to do it. They don't want Michael Penix to do it. They trying to move him out the way. And what are they using? His injuries. Fellas, when y'all come over here to this league and you already had injuries, you might want to, try to keep that on the low because that's what they're going to target. See, we knew he was injury prone. Then you out the way. Yeah, it is. It's dysfunctional. It said grand evening. It said another learning experience. Yeah, thank you, Crowley. So money is too tight to be paying Black athletes all that money. I mean, I don't think it's too tight because I think you got to look at who they drafted. It's who they choose to draft. And you need to see who they choose to draft with these first round picks or what they do with these first round picks. Knowing they want a first round pick, number 1 overall next year, so they don't have to tank because they would trigger a PR nightmare. And people would scream sabotage because that's what it's going to take to get it done. To hold back Shador, you're going to have to sabotage him or get him injured, and we're not going for neither one of them because we already see the play. We already see it coming. So if you trigger that, you're triggering a nightmare. So their best interest is to accumulate as much draft capital as possible and give it over to somebody to get the number 1 pick next year. But who has the number 1 pick next year? Did somebody already trade up for it in a previous draft? It's possible. Let me check. Let me check. Checking to see what team has the number 1 draft pick for 2027. Let's see if we know already. It said as of early March 2026, it's too early to determine the official 2027 draft order, but so nobody has it, I don't think. It said, but the New York Jets are heavily featured in early mock drafts, and speculation regarding the number 1 overall pick must be for next year. And you can make that happen, right? What did Haslam tell Coach Prime? Let's say Shador has a good game. So maybe it's let's say the Jets end up with the number 1 pick, and I come to you and get it from you. When you read the collusion case document that they had that came out last year, that's how they operate. See, they're supposed to be competing. They're supposed to be, oh my, let's see if we can get Shador so we can get to the Super Bowl instead of the Browns. But they collude. See, they're already on the record for colluding. Just because a judge said it didn't trigger any damages, it don't mean you're not guilty of collusion. And they tried to spin it that way. And then all we see is a barrage of collusion happening all over the place when it comes to Black quarterbacks everywhere that are starters, right? That's why so many went back to school. And you see what's happening to who I call Trinidad Shador Shambliss, because why? They trying to hurt his draft stock. They already were saying he was a day 3 quarterback, which is insane. Why they also trying to give the Heisman in the first round pick overall, using the Heisman to who? Arch Manning. It's already being done in college. So that's how you know that that's what they want to do. And while the Browns sit quiet, like we don't see the personnel bringing Tom Telesco over there to help bring in Monken, who recruited Arch Manning to Georgia. And Monken is in the Manning circle of coaches, along with Sarkisian, where Arch Manning currently plays. And then there's Tennessee. Peyton Manning is in the inner circle with the owner of the Browns because he went to Tennessee. And who just got signed to the portal and got picked up by Tennessee? Ryan Star. It ain't slowing down no time soon, people. It said the same thing goes for Black coaches, right? And what do we see? They fired a coach that had a B+ and hired Stefanski, who was the worst coach in the NFL, and gave him 3.5 times his salary. Raheem Morris only made 3.5 million. And so did Stefanski when he was in Cleveland. Stefanski makes $15 million a year. And somebody better say why. I'm thinking the Falcons gonna have to come out here and win. Because if they don't win, I'm like, I think the plan is for the Saints to get to the division and get to the next step. I think that's the plan. If it wasn't, why prop up Tyler Shaw? Why cheat Spencer Rattler? Why cheat Bryce Young? And why target Baker Mayfield? That's all 4 teams in that division. They were trying really hard. They wanted Tyler Shaw to be like offensive player of the year. I'm like, he ain't even been player of the week. Well, how you gonna get that? They was just gonna make it happen, right? But it never happened. So they're not propping him up for nothing. And all we see in that division, now we're talking about Stephon Diggs going to the Carolina Panthers, right? I don't know if that's gonna really happen. But they were already cheating Bryce Young in the first place. And I watched the game with the Saints, right? So you talking about Bryce Young being moved out the way, Baker Mayfield is being targeted because his OC was just targeting Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta, and they sent him over there with Baker Mayfield. It's also Baker Mayfield contract year, and don't get lost on the fact that somebody just asked, oh, should Mike Evans leave the Bucs, not re-sign with them, and come over to the Browns, taking away one of Baker Mayfield's best wide receiver or his best wide receiver? That wasn't lost on me. So if they don't re-sign him, I don't know. And they're saying his value is $13 million, and his contract is like 20 or something like that. So that's gonna make it where they want to kind of, get him to come a little closer to the 13. So he's gonna have to reduce his value because they already got him devalued. So let's see what happens. I don't think the Browns gonna pay $13 million for a receiver. If so, he gonna be Cornell Tate from Ohio State for marketing purposes. It said the sad part of this is Sherrone Moore will have a difficult time gaining employment moving forward. Decisions have to make better decisions. And to me, I think that was the point. I think making sure they didn't have to pay him the buyout and making him look crazy was the point. So he exits college football. So if I'm targeting Coach Prime, I'm targeting Sherrone Moore. I already targeted Mel Tucker. Look at the history of the black quarterbacks that was over there at Colorado. Colorado is showing its true colors to me, if you ask me. The only one I don't watch consistently is at Syracuse, Fran Brown, and his season went raggedy last year. So it'll be interesting to see what the talking points are where they're concerned. Now, their basketball was doing really well because they had Carmelo Anthony's son, but then they started going in on him and not giving him the ball. So I don't know how that ended up. I don't know. I don't know if I heard Syracuse in the conversation for winning their the men's with basketball. I have to look into that. So it's a lot happening. It's a lot happening to move Black people out of positions of leadership and positions of influence, whether it's quarterback, head coach, etc. Don't matter. And it's a lot of effort to control people and to extort them some kind of way, coerce them into sabotaging Black quarterbacks. You will see it this year. You will see it. Remember, we follow quarterbacks, so we can put it all together. Remember the little chart? We can put it all together. And for those of you that are new to this channel, we already, have a chart from last year that I think I kind of updated it a little bit, but I think we'll have to redo it because we had 17 Black quarterbacks, but you notice they tried really hard to keep him out of the QB1 spot. So that means there were 16 Black starting quarterbacks. They made Shador play 7 games instead of 9. If he would have played 9, he would have been on the record as the 17th Black starting quarterback. So they stopped him in the draft by pushing him down and to a later round to make it harder for him to get to QB1 sooner. And then now they're talking about him being QB1 this year. So what is their plot to make sure he's not 17? That's the question. He's already in the league. So it's about who they draft and what number of black quarterbacks start the season to see if they're going to let Shedeur, because let's just say Shedeur have a good game, to see whether or not they're going to let Shedeur Sanders have a good game, have a good season. That's what it depends on. We talked about that last year. Somebody asked me the question. So do you think if there's not 16 black quarterbacks, if there's nowhere near it, like, because you got to consider injuries, like if there's only 12, do you think they will let him start the season? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And then, you know, do good for the fans, let him ball out. But do you let him get to the Super Bowl? You got to look at Lamar's career for that. You got to look at Jalen Hurts' season, this past season, and you can answer that question. You also could look at the AFC Championship from 2023 or 2024, the AFC, NFC, to see with 3 black quarterbacks, and Lamar got cheated when they played the Bills, and it was somebody on Lamar's team. So that answers your question. See this chart right here? This chart right here, every one of these circles represents a black quarterback. So while black quarterbacks are not the majority, they were last year expected to, in the draft, become the majority, a historic year with 17 to 32. Shedeur was 17, right? So what you're going to see this year, you look at this chart and see Russell Wilson was moved out the way. So it was 16. So that's 15 because Jackson Dart is now considered the starter, right? And then you look at the chart and see in New York, I don't know who the hell the starter is in New York. I heard that they want to trade Justin Fields for a first-round pick, and people thought that was hilarious. I feel sorry for Justin Fields because I think they just constantly kicking him around. So if they draft somebody and it's not him, then, you know, it goes from 15 to 14. And then Spencer Rattler was QB1 in New Orleans. I can't remember how many games Tyler Shaw played, but they moved. They let Spencer Rattler play the toughest stretch of games. Then they put Tyler Shaw in. So I think that takes Spencer Rattler out the equation because they benched him toward the end of the year or the back half of the year. So that's 14. So 16, 15, 14. And Kyler Murray just got moved out the way. That's potentially, if Jacoby Brissett is not the starter, that's potentially 16, 15, 14, 13, right? And who else? The Browns. Now, the Browns, not this year. Now, they could bring in Ty Simpson, and they're not worried about the competition because you got to give it to Shedeur to keep the PR nightmare away, to keep people from seeing the sabotage. But let's say that Shedeur plays 5 games and Ty Simpson comes in and he played the majority. That's 12, right? So if it's that 13 and Shedeur comes in, they're going to be thinking about injuries, and they just probably going to just kind of like see how it go when they get to that, close to that 9th game. And if they move other black quarterbacks out the way, then Shedeur will go. And believe me, they have had these conversations. Right? I feel like Haslam showed you how it works when he told Coach Prime, let's just say Shedeur has a good game. And the game started off raggedy, and like a switch, it flipped to a good game. But then it went right back to the same sabotage, you know, with the wristband gate, trying to rip Shedeur nail off in front of his father, which is highly disrespectful. It's highly disrespectful to hurt somebody's child in front of their parent. And that says a lot about Stefanski. So Atlanta better buckle up. No amount of offseason trying to talk the fans down off the ledge is going to change Stefanski, because he's already talking in word salad, right? And they let go of their receiver, who I checked, he was on this list, this wide receiver list, and his value was $7 million. And I don't know if the Browns would get him for 1 year for $7 million. You know why? Because they got Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy already proved what he was capable of, right? So no need to move off of Jerry Jeudy if I need to get somebody installed for 1 year. And if Jerry Jeudy is still there and he's still wide receiver 1, and they banking on the guy that's on reserves that did not play at all last year, they're not trying to put Shedeur in the right position. And one clue that they're not trying to put him in the right position is the first transaction was eliminated in Joku. And saying Harold Fanning Jr. is the tight end of the future. If that's the case, who's tight end one right now? And remember, Monken was the coordinator that decided to throw the ball to who? In Baltimore. Mark Andrews, who just got, at the age of 30 or 33, something crazy like that, $39 million. But they can't find no money for Isaiah Likely, who was tight end one. So they just gave all the money to tight end 2 or 3, who failed the team when Monken was a coordinator when they played the Bills in the AFC Championship. Keep your eyes peeled. That's all I can say. So all of these quarterbacks on here are all up targeted, every last one of them. Now, what happened when they got to the 53-man roster? A lot of these people, see, these are triplets right here. When you look at the AFC, is at the East, AFC East, where you have, that's the Bills, I think. The Jets, see how they had triplets? That's dysfunction. And they were all black. So see, this all black roster has happened before. Remember, they're not the majority. I'm stacking them together so they don't spread out and become the majority because they keep drafting them. But this year they get a little bit of a break because the guys went back to school, and rightfully so. Now you got Nick Saban over there who didn't like NIL, who's supposed to be retired because of it, trying to fix NIL with some executive order from the president of the United States, who's already embroiled in a war aligned with Israel against seemingly Iran and China and Russia now. They got him wanting to focus on fixing NIL back to what it was before NIL. Fixing college football back to what it was before NIL. And Nick Saban, who has retired, it seems to be the spokesperson for this. But my question is, if you retired, why the hell are you involved in what NIL should be? And how do you know it's not working? Because you retired. Why are you the one campaigning to go back to college football before NIL, which means you don't want these players to get paid? What is that? Why you retired? And what does that say about Nick Saban? He needs to go mind his damn business since he decided to retire. And I keep telling y'all, football is the only sport that I hear people whining about. Football is the only goddamn sport that seemingly use white women as a tactic against black men. Do you see the correlation to the whining about NIL money in the sport of football, where the majority of the players are black and white women being used against them as a tactic to devalue, get them devalued and fired or arrested or killed, anything? Do you see the correlation to football and how for black men it's a dangerous sport off the field because of who is trying to make sure they don't get generational wealth? And Nick Saban is spearheading that effort. Why? So what should the players do if they pass this executive, if this executive order makes it and they like NIL dies? What should they do? What should they do? Because I was over here making $1 million and now you want to take it away, or next year I won't be able to make $1 million because you can't take it away. Especially at a time where the state of Mississippi, shout out to the state of Mississippi, just passed a bill, which might be law, that NIL money is tax exempt. So if they give you a $5 million deal, you get $5 million, not 40% of or 60% of $5 million. At a time where NIL is working because these players went back to school because they could get NIL rather than come to the NFL and be devalued into a day 3 quarterback. Instead of a $40 million quarterback, you get $9 million or $6 million. Get $6 million. That's why they want to take away NIL, because it's working for black men. And black men need to do themselves a favor and look for all of the tactics, including white women. You better do some research, some good homework or something, and stop just, taking whatever they give you, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're giving you, so they can take away what you earned. So shout out to the state of Mississippi. If you're just not joining us, this is the chart we use. We track black quarterbacks. We'll be doing it again this year. To answer the question, if it gets down to 12, I think we stopped at 13. If it gets down to 12, I think Shedeur will probably start. I don't know how they feel about him being on the record. And then I don't know. I'd have to think about how it impacts what happened in the draft. Because to me, that's what they're still running away from. I think the sheer number of the effort that they're putting into suppressing Shedeur, retaliating against people that support Shedeur, sabotaging him because you already see the sabotage with Stefanski somewhere else. So it points to somebody higher up. It points to ownership. And then there's the robbery, right? That definitely was an inside job. And it definitely was a robbery for hire. And you have to look at how concerted the effort is to suppress and disrupt, derail Shedeur. Probably don't want him to be the starter for the whole season. Just enough for people to shut up. And by people, I mean fans, like the ones that show up, that pay, that watch the game at home, because they want that check from TV revenue. And when people boycott and they not at the games, they don't watch the game live. They watch the highlights because they don't count. So they're trying to appease fans. So let's see what they do to appease fans. Is it going to be Cornell Tate from Ohio State? And they think that's going to appease fans because he's the local kid, because he played there, and they're not going to care about Shedeur? That's what they're hoping for. That's what they wanted to do with Myles Garrett. But see, Myles supported Shedeur. They didn't like that. The moment Myles showed support for Shedeur in the preseason, we're going to need you. Ooh, they hated that. Because they were like, Myles, we trying to make you the starter team so we could suppress him. But see, Myles wasn't going along with that. He don't even care. He didn't care about that at the time. I still don't think that he does. But I think he see they trying to control him. And that's where Myles Garrett and Shedeur only being robbed, and Myles Garrett and Shedeur only speeding tickets being discussed, seems to be some type of coercive tactic to control and force them to submit into whatever the hell it is that they want. They seemingly got Jerry Jeudy compromised. Seemingly. His behavior suggests that that's what it is. Yep, it's all a crazy game. And the game is hold back the black man. That's just what it is. You have a bunch of men who don't, and this is all men to men, black men, white men. That's what it is. It's like they take pleasure in trying to recreate a slave plantation with these black men in football. This does not happen in basketball. Jalen, what's his name? Jalen, the one that played for Michigan with the Fab Five, Jalen Rose, said that only black-led sports have a salary cap, or all black-led sports have a salary cap. And somebody said, well, hockey has a salary cap, but it's not black-led. I think he was saying football and basketball are the only sports that are black-led that have salary caps. But I don't know if another black-led sport, I guess we'd have to look and see if there's another black-led sport and if they don't have a salary cap. But I knew what he was trying to say. And my part that I add to that is football is toxic as hell. Football is toxic, bro. It's toxic. It's like it's a game of chicken between white men and black men. And black men maybe thinking they get some kind of revenge on these white men who are trying to force them into submission, as if you just the N-word, or, we still slavery. Like it's the prison industrial complex, but it's a football league. It's the same thing. Like, I'm going to show you who's in control. And then when you get the money, things happen, right? And they love leverage. So it's like a game of chicken, because we keep talking about the black guys. Why y'all keep going here? Why you don't start your own league? And somebody did say, well, they think that it's some kind of revenge happening, that they feel like. I'm like, and how you thinking they get revenge with the women? Is that what you're thinking? Oh, okay. Well, I, I don't know. But I'm like, Amber, it feel like a game. It feel like a game. It feel like a game, bro. I put my truck back on here. It feel like a game. The question is, are the black men playing the game too? I don't know. I I don't know. No incentive at all. None. It said if I was Deshaun, I'd chill so hard. Fact. You know what? I said, has Deshaun come to the realization that they don't want him to play? I think so. I think so. I, I think so. I think so. In other words, look, bro, you won, right? You asked these people for a trade, and they went and found some women, and they thought they were going to use these women against you, and you probably had some information. Because how they find the women, they went to the dudes that y'all was all together, seeing, doing this stuff, right? Because what they do, get your cell phone record and call everybody and go, hey, are you a masseuse? No, he wasn't the only one, and he probably had evidence to that. Or I know he did, goddammit. He had evidence to that. Because they found these women. These women didn't come forward. They found them, and the lawyer for him was the neighbor of the owner of the team. They lived in the same subdivision. They was neighbors. And he ends up with $230 million, and he gets paid back. He get paid by the NFL every dime that he paid back. So it was a smear campaign. Ultimately, think about it, just like Sherrone Moore. At the end of the day, it's nothing. Your reputation is what's damaged at the end of the day. And the media uses that to devalue you, to trash you, to harass you. But they don't say nothing about Justin Tucker. That's the biggest telltale sign. What is he even? What is he now? But you know everything about Deshaun. But he got all his money back, and people don't put two and two together. He even got the $5 million fine he had to pay back. When I was doing the research, I said, hold up, this dude got $46 million a year. And the extra million, because it's a 5-year contract, is really just $1 million a year, giving him back $1 million a year for his fine for 5 years. And then the insurance company pays year 4. And then this year, he gets the bonus. He gets it as a bonus because it is a bonus. It is a bonus. He asked for a trade. Seemingly, they tried to retaliate against him, allegedly, possibly. And he got all his money back. And to lighten the load, an insurance company paid for 1 year because he was sacked excessively 33 times in 7 games and moved out the way for the season. He kept being injured. I looked at his injuries. He was never injured like that. And not only that, he was out the way. So they had fans complaining because of the things that they said about him. They made it seem like it was a domestic violence charge or something like that. But Deshaun's situation, and if you read about Justin Tucker, now those women came forward. See, I think that's why they don't talk about Justin Tucker. Because see, the difference is, I don't think they want people to know that it's documented. Deshaun's contract is said, can't nobody else get it. Why? Because I don't think they want people to know why he got it. You won't let him play, so it ain't his skill set. You say he trash, it ain't a skill set. You keep him hurt, you don't want him to play. So not only does he get every dime back plus some to go live his life, they seemingly, the longer he's in the league, they trash him. So it's best, like his wife said, they should relocate to a foreign country, and she had one picked out. I think it was Italy or somewhere. I agree. Go live your life. Go live your life. Clearly, they did you wrong because they gave you all your money back. 2 Texas grand juries cleared the man. They never talk about Justin Tucker, and these women showed up and pointed him out, and all they want to talk about in the media was how pretty his wife was, and that they went to college together. They tried to absolve Justin Tucker through the media, and they try to crucify and cover the fact that Deshaun Watson got all his money back, and the Browns got a new stadium for losing. And the Browns try to use taxpayer money, unclaimed funds, $600 million. And the judge has blocked it not once, but twice. Let's see what happens. And after the mayor, who's black, in Cleveland, had the Browns to agree to pay $100 million to leave and take their name over a 15-year period, which is too long, the mayor started getting attacked. Shedeur get robbed. The mayor get attacked. Myles Garrett get robbed. All we hear about is Myles Garrett and Shedeur speed tickets. Yeah, we see how much retaliation and coercion and intimidation, did I say retaliation, happens within the Browns organization. Interesting. Interesting. So maybe somebody look into it, and that's just it. Nobody's going to look into it. That's why it keeps happening. And it's going to keep happening. So just prepare for them to be further exposed. Is that what it should do is last year? What do you mean? What is his last year? You mean his contract? 2 more years after this one. 2029 is what somebody said. Tina said 28, Amber said 29. He signed in 2025 for 4 years. So that's 29, the end of the 29 season. Yes, go enjoy your life. I totally agree. Tina said to 28. I think that's only 3 years, Tina, if it's 25 to 28. I think it's a 4-year contract. It said it will make more sense for the draft to have rights for the player for 4 years as opposed to a high-priced veteran. I agree. I agree. And since I think they're stacking the deck for Arch Manning, it makes sense for them to get Cornell Tate and basically be like, don't worry about being Superman this year. You'll be the receiver of the future, and they'll keep using Jerry Jeudy and go, oh, we're developing Tate. I need somebody to define developing the quarterback, define developing the wide receiver. I want to see what that looks like because we need some measurables here. We need some metrics because otherwise it's just bullshit. Especially when you see an elite quarterback like Shedeur come in and make surgical throws in that Panthers game and get set up by Stefanski in the Rams game. Because the Rams game, it was an elimination game to determine who was going to back up Flacco. Then Flacco gets moved out the way suspiciously. And then there's Dylan got to produce, and then he doesn't. That exposes Stefanski, and then Shedeur gets the nod. And Stefanski complains to the media. And then we see all this sabotage and physical harm of Shedeur by his own head coach, using his own teammates. Again, it's a lot happening within the Browns organization. The dysfunction, the toxicity, the culture clearly starts at the top because the top is letting it happen, right? The owner could have fired Stefanski. He made sure Andrew Berry didn't have the power to fire Stefanski. They were equals. On the org chart at work, they were equals. So have them left Stefanski in place to do damage so that Shedeur, there wouldn't be enough evidence to see on him. So he has to compete again next year. And that's how they think they're going to see their way out of this whole season, with suppressing him so they can draft Arch Manning next year. Oh, he got to compete. Let's see what comes of that. Because he should not be competing. Oh, now I'm pretty sure Shedeur will be the week 1 starter. Like I said, they stalling because they don't want to win this year, and they don't want to say it because it will be a PR nightmare. But their actions prove they don't want to win this year. Pay attention to the O-line when it's done. Pay attention to the wide receiver movement when it's done. Pay attention to the quarterback room when it's done. They still have to pay Justin Fields his money. Oh, that must be why they're saying that then. Okay, so Justin Fields still get his money. It said Kyler might go to the Vikings. I heard he might end up in Atlanta. I can believe it. I can believe he can end up in Atlanta because clearly they're paying Stefanski $15 million for something other than football, right? Because he failed at football coaching. So what you paid him for? So let's see where Kyler Murray lands. It said Ty Simpson might go to the Niners and sit if they are able to move Mac Jones. I think they want Mac Jones to pop up in Cleveland for 1 year. See, the problem with Mac Jones and Ty Simpson is Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Ty Simpson. No quarterback can come to Cleveland this year that would show up the Manning kid. And what I mean by that is there's not one quarterback that will be allowed to have a fantastic season in Cleveland, because the goal is to bring in Arch Manning, who's not like that. And as you can see, no disrespect to Arch Manning himself, because I don't see him making these moves. As you can see, they're trying to give him the Heisman. They're trying to kick out Trinidad Shambliss so he does not win the Heisman or go all the way, right? They try to destroy Ole Miss so they wouldn't make it as far as they did in the playoffs. They already devalued Trinidad Shambliss by saying he's a 3-day QB and he should come to Cleveland. They're going to put him behind Arch Manning and move off of Shador, keep him over there and move off of Deshaun. And they take pleasure in this. You know how you know? Because they keep doing it. It's not beneficial because they keep ending up with these PR nightmares and people are catching on more and more that this is happening holistically around the league. So they're pushing up on a class action lawsuit for racial discrimination for the third or fourth time since 2021. Yep. So let them just keep pushing. Ramon said he don't think Nick Saban gonna get his way. Let's see what happens there. Hey Amber, how you doing? The state of Mississippi is changing how NIL will be tax-free. Right. So they're already working on that in Mississippi. So I'm like, NIL is actually working. Y'all pissed off about something else. And I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Remember, 12 is the movement. That's facts. That is facts. That is facts. It's that, remember, the NFL knows everything. Facts. That's what I said about Kyron Lacy. I'm like, you mean to tell me the NFL didn't know Kyron Lacy was innocent because they didn't have no connections in the district attorney's office who went right there to LSU for law school? That's just crazy. I find that highly unbelievable. I do. I find that strange. When they talk about the kind of background checks, there's a story out there I read where somebody was shocked that somebody hopped on a plane and flew to this particular school to start asking questions to everybody, including their dog, about a particular player. Because the excuse they use is we're going to invest in this person, so they like to be invasive into their lives. So you didn't do that for Kyron Lacy, but they did disinvite him to the combine like that. Kyron Lacy's grand jury seemed like it was going to benefit someone somewhere with him being devalued before the draft. It's that the game is never in a black man's favor. It does seem like that. It seems like that. If they remember, number 4 had an ACL injury at Clemson. Right. And what am I saying? They ought to keep their injuries quiet because that's what they do. That's what I mean. Like Shador. Okay. Where did we see they kept roughing up Shador at? In the back and in the head, which is connected to the spine, to the back, right? What did Shador tell the referee? They were targeting him. He said, okay, I'm letting you know now. Because the ref like, well, let me know what happened. He said, I'm letting you know now. So Shador already knows to look for it coming up with this season. They take advantage of the injuries that you had previously. So nobody will be the wiser when it happens to Michael Penix Jr. A double ACL, really? Really? What you thought was going to happen to Deshaun if you let him get sacked 33 times in 7 games? Exactly what happened. What you think will happen when you keep popping Lamar in the back, when you keep popping Jada, when you keep letting the quarterbacks get reffed up like Jordan Love? They use that to get Jordan Love out the game to let Malik Willis play, thinking he could carry the game. And it showed how talented Malik Willis was. Shador, Malik Willis, and Jordan Love, if you line up their injuries together on one screen, it's the same hit. And it was to move them out the way. That's why Joe Burrow only had something like turf toe. That's why no white quarterbacks had season-ending injuries like that. just the black ones, especially the ones with these big contracts, like Pat Mahomes, out for the season. Pretty sure they paid his salary. Pretty sure. And that opens another can of worms right there, because that's some kind of fraud. Injury fraud, insurance fraud, that's some kind of fraud. In my opinion, I don't think number 4 would see the field. I don't think they want him to see the field, because why? He's getting ready to end his contract, just like I think Kyler Murray might have more time. I think his contract is done, right? So, okay, think about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson had dead cap space they sent him from Denver to Pittsburgh. While he was there, Russell was supposed to be QB2. Mike Tomlin made him QB1, and they damn near made it to the next, where you want to get the playoffs or whatever. George Pickens was the blame for the loss. He failed up over there to Dallas. After that, he a wide receiver, right? And we talked about these wide receivers. So Mike Tomlin's out the league. Pickens is in Dallas. Russell Wilson got booted. He had to go interview with the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. The same 2 teams that were hotly interested in Shedeur. So Russell Wilson goes to Cleveland, and of course they're not interested, but they end up with Flacco, Pickett, Dillon, and Shedeur. But they weren't interested in Russell Wilson. He goes to New York. They make him wait in humiliating fashion after Aaron Rodgers decides who the hell he want to play for, even though he had accusations of domestic violence from Danica Patrick, but they didn't care. They saw that as leverage to use him to block Shedeur and boot out Mike Tomlin, and that's what happened. Aaron Rodgers told Mike Tomlin, "I'm sorry. You could decide what I'm sorry was for." Now it comes out that the Pittsburgh Steelers is one of the worst run organizations, because the surveys that we saw were leaked. That was never supposed to become public because the NFL tried to block it. They want some kind of grievance where you couldn't make the survey public anymore. So all of that happened with Stefanski, you was never supposed to see the truth, but you saw it anyway. The unexpected happened. And the truth came out. Stefanski is the worst coach in the NFL. So how did he fail up after being fired to the head coach in the Falcons, making $15 million a year after making 3.5? That needs to be investigated. Is he being rewarded for something? Or was he extorting people to get it? The owner said Michael Penix Jr. is a starter. They asked Kevin Stefanski. He said, well, it's too early to be giving out jobs. It's February. How are you giving out a job that the kid already had and the owner said it's his, and they let Kirk Cousins go so that he would be the starter? So I asked, why is it Atlanta keep being put in this situation where they're blamed for the prank against Shedeur when that's a lie? They were a scapegoat. And now was Stefanski forced on them by the league, and they had to pay him $15 million so he can go over there and move Michael Penix Jr. out the way. And Darryl Mooney, the wide receiver, with all the drops last year before he got injured, they let him go. So let's see where he ends up. His value is $7 million. Let's see what happens. It says Shedeur can potentially help the Browns win the AFC division, right? But they don't want to win. See, you always have to start with, do the Browns want to win? That's really the only question you have to ask yourself. You ask yourself, because in 2023, seemingly they didn't want to go to the playoffs, even though they made it. They didn't want to go to the playoffs with anybody other than Flacco, which is why they put in at a wild card game a quarterback who hadn't played all season. You don't want to win when you do that, and they lost, and it was a disaster. And Stefanski didn't get fired then. Then you come on over to 2024 after rotating 5 quarterbacks, almost 6, and a disastrous end to the season. Then you got 2024 and you get Deshaun injured and people saying he trashed, but they let him get sacked excessively. I don't know why the words workplace negligence are never used when these quarterbacks get sacked excessively, because Justin Fields ought to sue the Chicago Bears. So should Caleb Williams. How many votes did Ben Johnson get for Coach of the Year? And look at how far they went. after their wide receiver went missing because he stopped running on his route and they got eliminated. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? He got 1 vote. Why would he only get 1 vote? Because the Chicago Bears had just paid Caleb Williams back up $10 million. And he went to a D3, D2 school, which means he ain't even that good. Why did they pay him $10 million? It was a message. They trying to move Caleb out the way. Well, how can I move him out the way now if y'all just damn near went all the way to the playoffs? Or you did. Look at how far you went. The fans not going to be happy with that. And now suddenly, the Chicago Bears want to move to another state. The street message that these people go through is insane. It's that they can either play wide receiver or they can't, in my opinion. Yep. It said from Shador is there from February 2025 to the end of 2028. Well, that's just 3 years. Maybe he had a 3-year contract. I thought it was 4. It said Trinidad Shambliss has the state of Mississippi behind him. Facts. Let's see what happens with the NCAA case, what they put together 2 or 3 days after the combine, intentionally, a 650-page document to try to force the judge to kick Trinidad out of college football. Because he wanted a 6-year when they've granted 7, 8, and I heard 9, including a basketball player that went pro and came back to college. Shador said they were targeting his neck. There you go. It said Queen Archer's not going to the Browns. It said because 12 is going to be great and AB is going to nail this draft. Okay, Anthony. You know what my answer to that is? We shall see. I love the positive thinking, though. It said Malik Willis is probably getting $28 million, whoever he signs with. Yeah, AB apparently already came out and said, according to Andrew Berry already said, according to Daniel Oyefute, that he thought the money that Malik Willis was requesting was too much. They weren't going to get him no way. Because what they going to do with him next year? That's why I think Ty Simpson is going to be the guy that they get. They might get Ty Simpson and they might get Cornell Tate. Cornell Tate is marketing for this year to try to suppress Shador's presence with the fans. But they don't know. We could like Shador and Cornell Tate, right? Like them both. And I better see some good football. I don't want to hear nothing about Jerry Jeudy got to play first in front of him or something like that, right? We can like Cornell Tate and we can like Shador Sanders. Hell, I can like Shador Sanders to Cornell Tate, Shador Sanders to Harold Fanning Jr., right? Let's see what happens. Again, the Browns have not drafted a wide receiver since 2016 in the first round. But they have drafted 2 quarterbacks in one draft. And they do typically, since 2023, rotate 4 or 5 or more quarterbacks. So look for the play. And they do want to get Arch Manning next year. Despite what people think, the dominoes are already being stacked. It said Pickens been playing good for Dallas, but they just franchise tagged him. So I don't know if he's going to fall back now. Interesting. They didn't give him a contract. It said, remember, Tyler played 7 years in college. Who are you talking about? Tyler Huntley? When you say Tyler, who are you talking about? Tyler Huntley? I'm happy for Tyler Huntley. There was a nice photo of Lamar. I think Lamar posted this nice photo of Huntley. LaJohntay did. I'm like, man, they really like Tyler Huntley over there. I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him. Read the room, fellas. Read the room. Read the damn room. Know the tactics and know how to keep yourself safe. And remember, it's just a job. And you're not valued. You're seen as a commodity. Just a commodity. Look for the tactics. How to drop the gems. The QB for the Saints. Oh, Tyler Shaw? Yeah. We definitely going to be watching the division that the Saints and the Falcons are in. Nola girl sitting in Atlanta, definitely the Browns, but holistically keep a view of the league because of what's on the screen. All these black and brown circles. So we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, I finished my Dubai, my land air and sea report today because guess what? Everybody made it home or has a ticket to go home. Everybody, if y'all were keeping up with it, everybody we were tracking and following, all the athletes, all the sports teams, all of the tourists, American citizens, everybody we were tracking made it back to their home, country, city, state, whatever, and it's only one person, and he confirmed he has a ticket for next week. So everybody made it back. I feel proud. I feel proud that we tracked people from the beginning of the crisis, which was just a week ago, who were stranded, sports teams who were stranded. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for doing that because I feel a sense of accomplishment because they all made it back home. Everybody. That's just amazing. That's just amazing. So my land errancy report wrapped up for now for the Dubai part. We might be talking about something else later, but I'm proud of myself. Go watch the last episode or go binge watch all of the episodes. So shout out to me and the Almighty for putting that into my heart and getting that done. But I'm very proud of myself. So we're gonna get out of here, guys, and we'll be back. And tomorrow, probably talking about the Browns and some other teams. Because when you follow all the quarterbacks, you talk about all the teams. Well, you don't talk about all the teams. You follow the quarterbacks and you see where it goes with the teams that they play for, right? And what are we looking for, right? 17 to 32. We're looking to see if they are still trying to stop there from being 17 black starting quarterbacks. And we're looking at how the 17 of all the black starting quarterbacks, regardless of the number, are treated. And, just like the people we watched in Dubai to make sure that they're safe, right? Because we like football. We hate the way the system is, but we like these guys and the good guys, right? So it's a lot of good guys out there. It's a lot of good guys. Let's not be fooled by the one or the two. It's a lot of good guys out there. All right. So I'm going to see y'all later. Have a good night. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. I'll be back tomorrow. See y'all later. Get some rest and some dinner. Don't forget to like, hype, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all so much. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hype me up. Hype me up.